The classified documents were discovered in this building about a mile from the White House at the offices of the Penn Biden Center, a foreign policy research institute set up after President Biden left the vice presidency. According to a source familiar with the matter, the classified documents are small in number and were found in November in a box among unclassified material.
Yes, the big controversial news story of the day is that President Joe Biden had classified documents in his personal office at the Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C. Now, of course, this has led to all sorts of comparisons, conflations with the classified documents controversy involving Donald Trump. We're going to tell you the differences in just a moment, but first, let's get to the facts. There were roughly 10 classified documents in the president's office, which he hasn't actually been in for a few years now because he stopped using that office when he began his campaign for president. But what we do know is that his personal attorneys were cleaning out the office. They came across the documents, immediately notified the National Archives, and the National Archives immediately notified the Justice Department. Now, White House counsel say that the documents were discovered on November 2nd of 2022, so last year, when personal lawyers for the president were cleaning out his space. Now, the documents that were marked classified were found in a locked closet. They were not strewn about his office. They did immediately contact both the White House and the White House lawyers, reached out to the National Archives. And Merrick Garland has already referred the investigation to a US attorney based in Chicago, John Lausch, who is in fact a Trump appointee. And apparently he is wrapping up his investigation into this because, as you guys know, this occurred, or the discovery of the documents happened some time ago. And so it was immediately referred to this US attorney for investigation. Now, Trump has reacted to it, and so has the right wing. We're gonna get to that in just a moment, including kind of sussing out the differences between Trump and Biden on this issue. But before I go to you, Cenk, let me just say one thing. There are differences. With that said, can we just get some competent people in government, please, who handle classified documents like they're supposed to? So I'm not gonna give Biden a pass because there's less classified documents in his possession, or the fact that he did the right thing and immediately notified the National Archives and the DOJ. You shouldn't have mishandled the documents. You shouldn't have had them in your possession in the first place. And now, the Biden team is really overcompensating by literally handing over all boxes of all documents from the office, including personal documents that are in no way classified whatsoever. And I'm talking about 50 plus boxes of documents just to prove a point that Biden's not trying to hide anything or do anything illegal. But with that said, if you're gonna leave the White House, and these are documents dating back to his time as vice president, just do your due diligence and make sure you're not in possession of classified documents. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah, so there's gigantic differences between the Biden documents and the Trump documents. And so, guys, to Anna's point, do I have a motivation to give Biden a pass on anything? No. Should you take home classified documents under any circumstance? No. So if this maybe is the equivalent of being a pickpocket, which sucks. And so, I mean, that's such a cheesy thing, right? Now it's a weird analogy because he didn't really intend it, so it's not a great analogy. But I'm trying to provide scale for you guys. Whereas Trump's crime is like a aggravated robbery, armed bank robbery. It is far more severe. And so both the partisans talking about, Biden did nothing wrong, Trump did nothing wrong. No, they both did something wrong. What Biden did wrong was tiny, as we're about to explain, but wrong. What Trump did wrong was terrible and super dangerous. If you hear Republicans conflating the two, they're either, there's a poll that I did on Twitter. Can they not understand the differences, which are super simple, or do they not care and they're just trolling the national media? Because they're like, who cares what's true? Let's pretend it's the same thing anyway.
Yeah, of course they're going to do that. They have a political incentive to do that. They are making these conflations. You have Donald Trump just making up things like Biden allegedly giving classified documents to China, which makes me think, did Trump give classified documents to a foreign leader? Because why is he floating this? Here's what he wrote on Truth Social. Biden giving China highly classified documents would be a bridge too far. I certainly wouldn't do that. Wait, did you do that? Anyway, he continues, not a good situation for our country to be in.
No, Anna, I'm positive about what that means. Now, me being positive doesn't stand up in a court of law, okay? Let's be clear about that. And they're gonna have to prove it. But somebody doesn't walk into the room and go, I didn't give away national documents to a different country, unless they had that top of mind, okay? And so I think the distinction he's trying to lay out is, I didn't give national secrets to China. I wouldn't do that. But would he give it to maybe an allied country like Israel for a certain price, or Saudi Arabia, which is technically an ally, for a certain price? That I think he would definitely do. But the problem with anything Trump does is that the Democrats are so weak and incompetent that even if he did do it, the Democrats would wait like 18 years before looking into it. And so we're never gonna goddamn find out, and it drives me crazy. Because if he didn't do anything like that, there's no conceivable way that you took over 300 classified documents home by accident, okay? But if he was stupid enough to do it by accident, I'd like to know that too. I don't want it just hanging out there forever. But with Trump, you never know, because nobody ever goddamn investigates.
Yeah, and look, let's just cut to the chase, okay? Nothing's gonna happen to Trump, nothing's gonna happen to Biden, okay? The sham investigation into, Trump's possession of classified documents. Yes, he was raided mostly because the National Archives really wanted those documents back for good reason. But do I think that Merrick Garland is really gonna file serious criminal charges against Donald Trump and prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law? In fact, prosecute him to the fullest extent of the executive order that Trump himself signed when he was president of the United States in regard to the mishandling of classified documents? The answer is no, I don't think so. I think that this is a lot of theater, a lot of people freaking out publicly in the media about it, but I don't think anyone who is considered elite, I don't think anyone in a position of extreme power in this country ever really faces real consequences for their actions. But let me continue, okay? So Kevin McCarthy, of course, Republican Speaker of the House, says of Biden, he's had these classified documents, and what has he said about the other president with classified documents? Yeah, he criticized Trump for his handling of classified documents in an interview with 60 Minutes. So congratulations in bringing that up, great job. You also have Republican Representative James Comer, the incoming House Oversight Committee chairman. And he has some very serious questions, Cenk, about this whole debacle. What's the difference in what President Trump did versus what we now know President Biden did? We want to know exactly what documents were taken by both President Trump and now President Biden. You don't want to know about. You don't want a real investigation into Trump. Let's keep it real. But anyway, he continues and want to know if they're gonna treat President Biden any differently than they treated President Trump. Well, why don't we actually delve into the differences here, starting with this video.
The Justice Department is investigating former President Trump's handling of classified documents, with over 300 found at Mar-a-Lago. The FBI seized some of the documents after the former president failed to comply with multiple requests to return them for over a year. Former federal prosecutor Scott Frederickson says there are important differences between this Biden inquiry and that involving former President Trump. How significant is it that these documents were self-reported, voluntarily turned over?
I think the self-reporting here is probably the single most important part of this situation. It indicates a lack of intentional conduct. It's completely different from the Mar-a-Lago case, which tends, based on reporting, to indicate there was intentionally activity to take those documents.
So that is exactly right. On one hand, you have Biden, who through his personal lawyers discovers that he is in possession of some classified documents, 10 of them. immediately lets the National Archives know, immediately allows the DOJ to not only know about it, but also refer an investigation to a Trump-appointed federal prosecutor. That is very different from how Donald Trump handled the incident. In fact, the whole reason why the FBI ended up raiding Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate is because he would not hand over the classified documents that the National Archives knew he was in possession of. That's why it had to get to that point.
So I have a lot more to say, but Anna, can you put up the graphic of the differences here
Yes.
Between the two so that everybody can see? Yeah, I could take people through it too. The very clearly difference. Yeah. So Trump did not notify authorities. Biden did. Trump did not cooperate with investigators. Biden did. Trump did not willingly return documents. Biden did. Trump required the FBI to raid to retrieve documents. Biden handed them over voluntarily. Trump demonstrated criminal intent. Biden did not. Trump possessed hundreds of documents. Biden did not. And the number of documents is also relevant because can you take home 10, 24 by accident? You shouldn't. And whatever consequences are attached to that, you should pay those consequences, whether you're Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, or Donald Trump. But I guess you could. Hundreds of documents, and then you hide them from the National Archives, you hide them from the FBI, and then they catch you. This is Trump. And then you hand over some of them, but not the most sensitive ones. And then they are forced to raid you. And then you still hide documents. That shows absolute criminal intent. I want to keep these documents because I intend to do something illicit with them. And they, by the way, were one other distinction. The Trump documents had some nuclear secrets on there, that literally, and we know that. The Biden documents, we don't know what's in them. We don't know if they're innocuous or very important, right? So what the hell did Trump take those things on purpose for? And by the way, if they proved that Biden took it on purpose and had a nefarious intent and was gonna sell it to someone else, I'd want him prosecuted, I'd want him in jail, because I'm not a liar like the partisans in America, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. So, and we say, for example, Pelosi and McConnell. Mainstream media says Pelosi's an angel when she takes $1 billion from donors, and McConnell's a devil. Right-wing media says McConnell's an angel and Pelosi's a devil. They do the same exact thing. No, it's both corruption. But in this case, it is not the same exact thing. Biden's is far more minor. So if you see anyone pretending that it's the same thing, you'll have to understand that they don't understand simple concepts if they read the story, or they're lying to you on purpose, which describes about 98% of right-wing media.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you know that you're in a weird, twisted news cycle when you have Karl Rove, of all people, from the Bush administration, bringing out a whiteboard on Fox News to demonstrate the differences between the Biden classified documents issue and the Trump classified documents issue. So I don't want to play the video because I just wanted to spare you guys the disgust and discomfort. But there he is with his whiteboard.
Yeah, look, and it's so sad that Karl Rove is in the 2% of honest right-wing media. Everyone else is like, oh, same thing. Why aren't they arresting Biden? But mainly they don't want Biden arrested because they love the elites too. You think Fox News doesn't love the elites? Fox News is nothing but elites, right?
But it's not even about Fox News loving the elites, Cenk. It's not about loving the elites. It's about knowing that everyone in that group has some skeletons in their closet. Let's keep it real. I think this story in particular makes that abundantly clear to me.
And that's why we're the only ones that'll tell you we want accountability for Biden and Trump, but proportionally, right?
Yep.
What everyone else will tell you is, well, if Biden did it, then you should let Trump go. Or if Trump did it, then you should let Biden go. Because the reality is the media is also filled to the rim with elites, and they don't ever want the elites being held accountable. So they're likely going to use this as a perfect excuse to wash their hands of it and say, yes, once again, for the billionth time in a row, we've let powerful people cheat and break the law.